Stay. Go. Sit. She goes out first. Then you. Just don't even start. Yeah, I'm gonna take these dogs out. We're gonna smoke, and we're gonna watch some of this January 6th debate. I want to get these before Sunday, really. Would be nice. Because I got to work Sunday morning. I got the other phone that's charged up. Hold on, I gotta get my hoodie. It's cold as fuck. Y'all back up, dude. You're not gonna run out the door. It's never gonna happen. I'm never gonna let you do it. Come on. I'm too cautious. So you might as well just go sit on the couch. Wait your turn. Just wait your fucking turn. Wait your turn, wait your turn, wait your turn. Wait your turn. Go. Go lay down. Go. 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 Lay your ass down somewhere. What'd I say? Get over there. Go. Both of you. Wait your turn. Stop. Get out the damn door. Can you hold on a minute? Shit. Come on, let's go pee. My legs are so sore from the gym earlier. Holy fuck, dude. I'm actually glad I'm off work tomorrow. Because it's going to be so fucking sore when I get up. It's going to be horrible. I'm telling you, dude. I muted my mic by mistake, too. I think I put some kind of gay filter on. Okay, there we go. That actually kind of helps you see me, didn't it? But still, it's gay. Isn't there one that, like, brightens it up? Fuck it, I guess not. All right, you peed. Let's go, go get Marshall. Yeah, so the liquor store wasn't that boring with the headphone. I listened to a couple podcasts. They flew by. Facing up liquor bottles. I don't have to. I'm in Derry all next week, so that's nice. They got me 4 8-hour shifts and 1 4-hour shift, but I'll be able to get that other 4 hours. I'll be able to squeeze that out of the week. One dude said he worked there last Christmas, the holidays, Thanksgiving. He said it's busy as fuck. Which I figured that. I'm bored with this guy. He's stuck on the gay. He's got gay thoughts on his mind. He can't stop thinking about gay shit. He's projecting it onto me. You'll go. Relax, dude. I'm gonna back up so I can hurry up and get out of here with this. Damn. Sit down, man. Do this every day. You know the routine. Get the fuck out of the way. Get out of my way. Get back. Wait your turn. Yeah, he lonely. Well, I'm not. So fuck off. I got that 45-pound bag of dog food home on the bike. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I wasn't gonna fucking pay for a small bag. I wasn't. Small bag, $16.99. $16.99 for 18 pounds versus $24 for 45 pounds. It's a no-brainer. I mean, that's huge. Huge. And that bag will last fucking weeks. That little 18-pound bag would have lasted 3-4 days. Been gone. This bag will last weeks. It probably could last in November. I can't remember. That last one I bought lasted a while. I swear it lasted about 3 weeks. It lasted at least 2. Man, that's a long time, 2. Versus fucking 3 days. You buy kibbles and bits of like 3 days. I live too far away to ride that motherfucker all the way 10 miles. Yeah, no, I didn't. Huh. Nah, she coming over tomorrow. We're watching the January 6th debate. Once I get done smoking and go inside, I'm gonna bring these dogs out for a little bit. They peed on the pad while I was gone. They've been behaving. Come on. I forgot I got them biscuits. I gotta give them a biscuit when they pee out here. That way they'll start learning to piss outside faster. Let's say you train a dog. Give them a treat when they do it. They do it again, get another treat. Dude, my legs are so fucking sore. I went hard at the gym today. I gotta work 9 a.m. Sunday. Hopefully the legs are not, they'll be sore, real sore tomorrow, but Sunday should be all right. Because if they're sore right now, something about going to sleep, I don't know what it is, but God, you wake up, your muscles are sore after you work out. Just when you get back into it. I ain't worked out in over a week. So. All right, let's get Mr. Marshall. Come on. All right, Marshall. Let's go. Yeah, I gotta start doing yoga again. Now that I'm here, I'll probably start doing it. Come on, Marshall. Back up. Marshall's time. God damn it. Can you just be still for half a second so I can put the damn thing on? Quit being so excited. All right. Quiet. Back up. Think about it. First one that runs out the fucking door is going to find a new home. I would think twice about even trying it. Get in there. All right, well, let me think twice about doing that dumb shit. You're going to be gone. I ain't putting up with that dumb shit. I had to dart out the door. There's too many dogs around here. I seen dude walking big-ass dogs earlier. Too many fights they can get into with other dogs. Dogs will fight each other if they don't know each other. Ab cramps? No, my abs are pretty in shape. I hit abs earlier, they feel fine. But the legs are like, oh my God. I did a lot of squats though, and I did a lot of leg pressing and the calf raises machine. I hit that shit pretty hard. And the leg extension and that leg curl, God. Need them strong legs though. And bitches like getting picked up and fucked. That's why you boys gotta work out. You're trying to tell little scrawny nerds like Techie. We'll do like three full body workouts a week. That's what I'm gonna start doing. 2 days off, work out on those days, and then I'll have one day that I'll go before work or after work. You only really need to hit each muscle 3 times a week. Some people say you only need to hit it once, but I don't think so. I don't believe in that. I mean, I guess it's not bad to do one good hard session a week. It's better than nothing, but I mean, you don't need a week to recover. That's a lot. A week to recover? The fuck did you do? to. Shit. What do you think about it, Marshall? You probably missed the other place. You had a yard. Now you don't got no yard. You got to come out on a leash. All dogs must be on a leash. This is your new life now, on a leash. Come on, we'll do a circle around the building. Well, it looked like Kamala gonna lose for sure. I mean, it's not looking good at all for her. It's so bad. I can't believe they had Barack Obama out there lecturing y'all. Come on, where you going? We don't go that way. Come on. We're not going all the way down there. Now, come on, quit. I'm walking all the way in the street. My legs are tired. What you been doing all day? Just laying around. You ready to run? You know what's crazy is I used to have a room. And that, will you stop trying to go over there? Quit yanking me, dude. Get a fucking grip. It's annoying. Like you got some sense. Clearly I'm walking this way. I'm not walking that way. So you trying to pull me over there ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. You're stronger than me. You're a damn dog. Get a grip. Get a fucking grip. You're not leading the way. You're not going where you decide. You're tripping, man. Why would I want to go walk into their yard and shit? Can you just stop? Can you just stop? Just sit. Just stop. Stop pulling. I won't be pulled. Come on back. There's grass right here. Walk around this grass. Sniff it. We just walked over there. I'm not going back over there. You better be going to take a shit or a piss or something. You got me walking over here. And for what? Come on. Hey, come on back. Turn around. Come on. We need to get a little bit longer leash. And this motherfucker. It's pretty long, but... Look at him. That's a good dog. Yeah, I am gonna get the election off. You can request a day off. I'm gonna do that Sunday actually, so I can get it in early, well in advance. That way they can't be like, "Oh, you didn't." Nah, I'll tell them in October. What's that? Tuesday, November 5th. Yeah, I need that day off for sure to stream all day that day. I gotta get my fucking phone bill paid. The next check I can spend some of it, but the 2 checks after, I'm basically gonna have to save every bit of that for the rent. Cause it'll probably be like 480 a piece or some shit, or 470 somewhere around there. Rent's 900, so I'm just gonna have to save 450 of each of those checks, and then get donations off the stream to survive 2 weeks. Actually, I'm gonna buy groceries. I'm actually gonna go buy some. I was gonna buy some tonight, but the motherfucker's car broke down, so he can come pick me up, and I couldn't carry all that. I'm gonna get some eggs and shit. Then I'll have some fucking groceries. Then I can make it to 2 weeks. I can just eat all that shit. Damn, look at that plane. Dude, that seems so low. Look at that. Dude, it's loud as fuck. Planes are actually insane if you think about it. It's a big, giant, heavy piece of metal that's flying through the sky. It's actually insane. It's fucking insane. How does it even work? How do you come up with some shit like that? How do you figure that out and build that? That's what I'm saying. Like, Elon Musk is the type of guy that builds shit like that, right? He knows how that works, and he can build shit like that, and he can build rockets and send them to fucking other planets and shit. And then you got some nerd on Twitter pretending like they're smarter than him. Like, shut up, bro, and go sit down. Sit down somewhere, bro. See, that's what's wrong with society, is that people are not humble anymore. People don't know their role in society. You shouldn't even be talking shit to a guy like Elon Musk. You should be just listening to some bitch. Damn, another one. I mean, that's some serious shit. You couldn't build some shit like that. You'd never even be able to come up with some shit like that. Damn, it just passed over another plane or something that's flying through the fucking sky. That was fucking wild. I don't even know what that is, but it's slow as shit. What the fuck is that? Dude, that plane is low as shit. Is there like an airport nearby or something? I have no idea. That masculinity ad, who made that? Is that like a troll or something? It was so fucking retarded. She's a fucking idiot, dude. Why y'all think she's gonna win? Like, yeah, I guess she could, but if she wins, it's like all hope is lost. It really is. Like, it really is. All hope is lost. Because I tell you what will happen, the rent will go up, the gas will go up, the food will go up, the electricity, the utility bills, all gonna go up, drastically go up. You're gonna notice it. And then people are gonna be losing their homes, living on the streets. People are gonna get, I told you, I'm telling you, they're gonna get rid of the cars first. The cars are gone. They want you to get rid of those cars anyway. They want you to fucking get rid of them. How do they get you to get rid of them? Make life unlivable, so expensive. Because if you start thinking about it logically, your car will be the first thing you'll get rid of. You'll get rid of it. You'll work closer to your house. You'll figure it out. Because you'll start factoring in, like, how can I save some money? And then that car payment, that car insurance, that gasoline, literally about $1,000 a month out the door. You think I'm playing? I said that one night. Some dude was like, nobody spends $1,000 a month on their car. Shit. You might want to do a little math. Do you understand some people got $400 or $500 a month car payments? Understand that? Do you understand it? Can you wrap your head around that? Having a $500 a month car payment, and then your car insurance is like $200, and then your gas, the gas. I mean, if you're driving that motherfucker around everywhere, commuting everywhere to work, I mean, shit, it adds up. So when people are broke and they're struggling, they're gonna think, I'm just gonna get rid of this fucking car, and they'll be on a bike. I mean, if I could just outright buy an e-bike and I wouldn't have to pay $200 a month. So that's what I'm saying. You literally have your transportation is free. Once you buy the bike, it's free. There's no gas. You just have to plug it in, and you gotta have electricity at your house. So you got a place to plug it in. So you're gonna go from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month to zero. It will be the thing you sacrifice. I promise you, you'll get rid of that car. Now, you don't have to do all this. You could just vote for Trump. You could just grow up and vote for Trump. But if you choose to vote to make your life worse, you will pay the price. There's a price for stupidity. There's a price for bad decisions. And that would be a massively bad decision to put her in charge. She is incompetent. She has not shown. First of all, she's been in power for 4 years. She's been an absolute failure already. Terrible job performance. If you worked at your job with a guy for 4 years and he performed like Kamala Harris did, you wouldn't want to work with him, because you'd be doing all the goddamn work while he stood around doing nothing. Or he didn't just stand around. That would actually be good. No, he would actively be fucking everything up. Marshall, if you come here, I'll get this chain out from under your leg, bro. Damn. Now, come on. Oh, whoa. Come on back. Don't try to run off. $700 a month, dude. $700 a month just for the car payment. Now, car insurance, it ain't cheap, and the gasoline, which varies. I mean, it just depends on what that price is. I seen some dude, I think he lived in Chicago. They were interviewing him, and some black dude, he was like, I just paid like $5. I just paid $6 gas, like $5.79 or something. Like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, damn, what the fuck? Because around here it's like $2.55 or $2.60. Trump had that shit down to like $1, fucking $1.80 or some shit. I think she loses, and I think she loses decisively. And then I think the liberals melt down. I think the liberals go full unhinged and they do unspeakable things. This is if he actually, there's part of me that thinks they're going to kill him. If I really had to put my money on it, they kill him. That would be I'd put the money on that. Because it just seems. You stop. I'm taking you inside, bro. Be happy to be outside. You're not pulling me down the street. I'm literally just sitting on the ground. So I don't know why you're even trying to do that. You're not going to drag me down the street. Okay? You're not strong enough. You just need to get a grip. There you go. Smell the grass. Enjoy being outside. The fresh air. Look around and shit. We just walked around this bitch like 2 times. Take a break. Relax. Kamala has no aura. It's a joke, really it is. Her running against Trump is a joke. This version of Trump right now is on fire. He's at his peak power at like almost 80 years old. That's actually crazy. Compare that to Biden. It's insane. But he grows stronger by the day because they keep trying to kill him. They keep trying to put him in prison. They look crazy. They look crazy. They're gaslighting too much. They're lying too much. It's just, as I said in 2020, there'll be things going on that you can't lie about. I used to say that all the time. And here it is. It's happening. There's just things going on in this country you can't lie about. I used to tell that to Junie all the time. Before I blocked his stupid ass, I said all the time, I said, you can't lie about this stuff. You got to stop trying to lie about this. Watching a private citizen, just an average guy that works an average job and has like 100, 200 followers, sit there and chill like this is insane. It's actually insane to see. It's crazy. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? And there's many people like him. And the only explanation is they're caught up in the media. They're caught up in that, oh my God, it's life or death. If he wins, oh my God. Oh, the things he'll do. So they buy into all that shit. They buy into all that shit. Why else would you? Kamala Harris is one of the worst candidates I've ever seen in my life. I'm trying to think of a worse candidate. I mean, let me think. You had, I remember you had George Bush and Al Gore. I don't really remember who ran against Clinton in like 96 or whatever the fuck. But, I mean, Al Gore could talk, you know what I mean? Al Gore seemed like a guy that at least had some, he knew something. He could put a sentence together. He could fucking, like if you asked him a question about some shit, some serious shit, he would have at least some type of explanation that sounded like it made some sense. He looked like a professional guy. He sounded professional. Even Bush, like I used to think Bush was some dumb fucking goof. That was another plane. But Bush, watch Bush compared to fucking Kamala or Biden. Bush, it's crazy. Like you can see the decline in the country just by the candidates for president. They literally terrible candidates. Like the fact that Trump's the best the country can get is kind of sad. It's kind of sad. But that's literally the best we got. There's nobody else that's running for president out of all these idiots that ran. None of them are going to be able on the world stage to do what Trump's going to be able to do. It's just not going to happen. DeSantis can't do it. None of them can. And you need Trump before the world descends into chaos. We have World War III, and then we're pulled into it. And there ain't no going to your job anymore. You're going to fucking, people think it's a joke. It's not. It's not a joke. It can easily spiral out of control, and you could easily be drafted into it. If there is a World War III, you're talking World War III. And I keep saying, oh, it's going to be fought with nukes. No, it's not going to be all nukes, brother. As I said many times, they'll set off a couple of nukes and blow up a couple of cities, and then we'll all be drafted into this. In fact, you won't even have to be drafted. Once they nuke a couple of cities, you'll be motivated to go fight these motherfuckers, because they'll mind fuck you into believing it was some fucking Chinese motherfuckers or something. It'll be just like after 9/11, and everyone will get sucked into it, and they'll be like, fuck it, I'm gonna go fight these motherfuckers. Fuck them. Like they're gonna level the whole planet that they live on. That's not gonna happen, bro. That's why I say don't live in big, giant, major cities. Kamala does not have better economic policies on buying a house. That is one of the most craziest things. I can't believe you typed that, bro. Like, that's how insane that is to me. What are you talking about? Kamala Harris will make it even harder for you to buy anything, dude. Especially a house. Are you insane? And Israel, what are you talking about? Guys, I got news for you. If you're looking for a political candidate that's going to stop Israel, you're wasting your time. Some of you need to accept that there's just some things in this world that are just going to go on, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can keep whining about it all you want, but Israel's going to do what it wants to do, and they're going to defend Israel. And a lot of it has to do, it doesn't have to do with all this bullshit you talk about. It has to do with religion. It has to do with the Bible and shit. And you may not be able to wrap your head around that, but that's what this is really about. It ain't about money. It's deeper than money. This is one of those things, it's a lot deeper than money. This is about belief. People believing in something. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to defend it. And from a strategic perspective in the Middle East, there's no reason for America not to defend it. And all these idiots are like, oh, Jews run the world. It's the Jew. No, grow up. You sound stupid. Grow up. You gotta grow up. You quit. Jesus, you're out of control tonight. Stop. That doesn't feel good. You try to drag that chain. You gotta chill. You wanna go in? Let's go in there. Dog said I'm going in. Fuck this shit. Tired of listening about Kamala. Dog sick of this shit. Damn, I kept you out here so long. You want to go in? Look at you. I ain't never seen you want to go in. And I said, please, please. About to watch January 6th debate. Israel has a right to defend itself too, West. And you just settle down. Get a grip too, West. Yeah, she's gonna be tough on Israel. These motherfuckers are retarded. I'm telling you, dude. These motherfuckers are stupid. The shit they say, they ought to get backhanded. Like if they said it, I'd hit them with this. I'd like to backhand them with this. Bow. You know how good it would feel smack shit at him with this after he said that? They're fucking clowns, man. They say the dumbest shit. Absolute dumbest shit. Oh, did you see this crazy shit? What the hell is that? What the fuck is that? Alright, look at this shit. Damn, I lost it. Where'd it go? Ah! Oh, wait, it's on Discord. Oh, yeah, that's where I saw it. Yeah. Okay, watch this shit. Ah, why they did it again? Motherfucker. Alright, watch this shit. Oh my god. Attempted murder. I mean, he knocked him out. You know how heavy that pumpkin is? Go pick up one of them pumpkins next time you get to the store. Oh. Holy shit. They're gonna kill one of those child predators. They're gonna kill them in a video. And then it's gonna be the end of those videos. the sound it made makes my head hurt. Holy fuck, it was insane. All right, let's watch this. This is a 6 hour and 41-minute debate. Oh, wait, there's probably a lot of dead shit or whatever. I fast forward here. Well, we're not going to watch the whole thing in one sitting, but listen, let me say this. If you ever find yourself debating one topic for 6 hours, you need to get a life, bro. I gotta be honest. You gotta get a life, bro. It's excessive. These fucking bands. Oh, we're back.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm back, baby. Welcome to Norm America Show, host Rob Norm.
Look at this guy.
Glad to see you all. Should be a fun stream. Early stream here today. That's okay. Let's get it out of the way. So, first off, just want to say to those that are tuning in on Twitch, whether you're tuning live now or you're checking the bottom, I will have to end the stream, unfortunately.
What could you possibly argue about this for 6 hours? How could you even... What's there to say?
Before I start debating Destiny here, because he's banned on Twitch, so you're not allowed to stream with him on Twitch. So I recommend going to YouTube.
Oh, this guy? I don't even know who this guy is. There's too many guys.
Any of my platforms there.
There's too many guys.
And you can watch the live debate that I'll be having. And thank you, Levin.
Some of these motherfuckers need to stop.
It should be a fun debate. Now,
Too many guys.
I am severely unprepared for this debate. As in, I've basically, for the past, since last Thursday, I've probably spent only about 5% of the time I normally do on politics looking into this. And there's an awful lot I wanted to read specifically, court cases and what have on sort of the idea of what insurrection is. Particularly because I was supposed to have a debate with Pisco that's going to be moderated. So how this debate came about, I had talked to Pisco behind the scenes about setting up this debate on what is the standard legal definition of the term.
I don't know what ended that show.
And did a cursory look.
They should bring it back, though.
Pisco sent me material he wanted me to check out. I've not been able to read over almost any of that. In fact, I've probably read over hundreds upon.
Just because some pedophile blows his brains out after he gets caught trying to fuck children doesn't mean we should stop trying to catch pedophiles. I mean, what the fuck? And at the end of the day, who cares? Quite frankly, some guy's trying to diddle little boys and girls, and I'm supposed to worry about them. I'm supposed to care. And you know why he offed himself? I'll tell you why he offed himself. Because he doesn't want to go to prison. Because in prison, he's going to get fucked up. And he's going to go to prison because he's trying to meet children and fuck them in a hotel room or some shit. So he's going to prison. And he's going to get murdered there anyway. He's going to get raped and murdered and fucked and all kinds of shit. So the fact that of course he offed himself. What would you do? Okay, you got two options, all right? You got two options. There ain't a third option. I'm too tough. I'm a badass. You're getting raped and murdered, all right? So you can get raped, murdered, or you can just kill yourself. What you gonna choose? I mean, get a grip. It's a tragic loss. Oh, who cares? Have empathy for somebody that deserves it. Who gives a shit about this?
Pages that was sent, I've probably read over 5 pages.
Bring the show back.
Which doesn't speak very well to my preparation here. was going on in this circumstance was that I had to have a really busy work week, followed by a little mini vacation with my wife and my son, in which my parents and my sister met us out at a water park. It was a lot of fun. It was really a much-needed weekend. I had a blast.
All right, we're fine. We're getting to the debate.
Think that I'm a good debater. Looked into them. Left it.
If Red Hawk was here, that's what he would say. He'd say,
like in hotel.
Skip this shit. Guy talking about his life. Who gives a fuck? I went fishing and then I went to the hotel.
Effective tool or a politically legitimate tool. That's what's really going on here. And
that must be why he said it's 5 hours long. This guy must talk for fucking hours or something. Destiny's probably watching his wife get fucked. So he's
I can find a pen.
And just trying to repel you from committing a crime.
Oh, here he is.
Action. Because there wasn't planning to use violence to overthrow.
Damn, this dude had a 40-minute intro. I used to do that. He had a 40-minute intro. Oh no, that was okay. So it should be right here.
Say that you could accept, or Andrew,
oh my god, where is this fucking? Okay, it's gotta be right here.
I sound better than Destiny. Yeah.
Took Destiny an hour to show up because he's
yeah, I'm probably just too loud of a person.
Watching his wife get fucked. He's getting cugged.
Okay, what do we got here? Oh no, there we go.
Again. Okay, alright, tried.
Alright, check.
Yeah, okay, you're fine. Alright.
All right.
Okay.
Alright, so saw your debate with Andrew on January 6th. I kind of helped him with his introduction a little. I think that
nice.
The problem was there were two different reasons for that debate. We could argue about whether or not following the prompt of the debate's important, blah, blah, blah. The reason that you want to talk about this debate is Democrats want to hyper-focus on January 6th so that they could have all their worst impulses to use lawfare and to dehumanize their opposition, which you did an incredible job of. Saying that anybody that goes to a Trump rally is fucking around and finding out, even when an innocent firefighter gets killed, whatever. Andrew's point is, seeing as how you've in the past actually supported the rationale for insurrections as a politically useful tool, he's totally willing to accept your definition of the term insurrection if you can see that Democrats engage in it as well, because he's making a broader point that you're only interested in looking at this issue in a vacuum to demonize your opponents, but you actually don't really give a shit about insurrections at all, and you'll support them when they occur on your side. That's exactly what my feelings are on this, and the fact that you use a definition of insurrection that I think is incredibly too broad.
He's closed, quite frankly.
Thousands of it.
We're done here. We're done. We don't even need to sit 5 hours of this, because what he just said, that's just the facts. There's nothing, anything said after this is a waste of our time. Do you understand that? What was just said is it. It's done. That's why it doesn't matter that Destiny cries about it was a coup, it was Israel. He would love it if Democrats did something like that. He would love it. He would defend it. So shut the fuck up. Shut up. Why are we even arguing about this? Why are we debating it? You wouldn't give a fuck if your side did it. So who cares? Who cares?
Examples in the past 100 years since the last time Section 3 of the 14th Amendment was used shows sort of the gamesmanship of this. And I think that both you, legal scholars, prosecutors on the left in the Democratic Party don't give a shit about this at all, which is why they haven't tried to use Section 3 for over 100 years. They just see it as yet another attempt in their long-standing efforts to demonize Trump and his supporters and to go after him using lawfare, as they've been doing since 2016.
Okay, I feel like you kind of give away the whole game plan with this model, but we can walk through this. Okay, so you say that Democrats want to focus on January 6th to use lawfare and dehumanize their opposition. That is a take. It could also be that people focus on January 6th because insurrections are extremely exceptional events, and they are extremely exceptionally bad, especially when they are cheerled by a president. I think that if it is the case, you believe that January 6th was an insurrection, and if you believe that the president cheerled it or caused it, it would probably be a really good thing to focus on. I think that is completely and totally fair. For supported insurrections as a political tool, I mean, insurrections are political tools. You would support them, I guess, when you would agree with the insurrection, like in the case of 1776, when we rebelled against the British, you'd probably oppose them when you feel like the insurrection is done for bad reasons. I think that's totally fair. I don't think literally a single person on the planet would disagree with that. Obviously, it's not about whether or not you would support the concept of an insurrection or not. It's about whether or not you would support it in a particular circumstance. For January 6th, I wouldn't support it. When you would say that you could accept, or Andrew or you could accept my definition of insurrection, as long as I would declare BLM riots as insurrections, again, I feel like that gives away your whole game. Why would it ever be contingent upon me declaring other things as insurrections? The answer should be, or your requirement should be, it's okay that I'll accept your definition of insurrection, but you have to apply it evenly, which is fair, obviously. If I'm going to agree to a definition, I think I would definitely apply it evenly. However, I can already predict, and we can go down that road if you want, I can already predict how that entire conversation will go. You and Andrew both know this. There is no love lost between me and BLM. If we do this debate, and if you debate this at 20 million %, you make the best possible points. The only possible thing that you can do is just move me into believing more BLM riots were insurrections. So I don't know, but if we can go down that road if you want, I'd be interested in exploring it. When you say that I use a definition of insurrection that's too broad, we can also talk about that. Again, the definition that I'm using is the one that is found historically, both in law and in writing and in Congress. And if you have a better one that is more historically and legislatively and legally supported, then we could talk about that. I've never heard one before offered by your side. And then when you say people haven't used Section 3 in over 100 years, it's also possible that after the Civil War, nobody tried to rebel against the government in over 100 years. Again, exceptional circumstances call for exceptional measures.
Okay, so how about this? In the interest of fairness, I am willing to try to, as best as possible, hyper-focus on the definition of insurrection without going to things like Black Lives Matter and things like that for the first half of this discussion, if you're willing to broaden it out for the second half of the discussion. Is that fair?
Broaden it out, like broaden out what we're talking about?
So I'm saying that what you want to get out of this is to look at, was this an insurrection using the technical legal definition? That's what you want to focus on. I'm willing to focus on that. However, I would like you to reciprocate to talk about what I'm interested in talking about, which is the fact that this is being selectively applied, and your definition would be so broad as to encompass thousands of examples of insurrections that you didn't give a shit about. And in fact, you've given the rationale for why you think insurrections could be good. So at best, it's a amoral term. It doesn't have goodness or badness attached to it, and I think you're selectively applying it. But I'm willing to
okay, we can do this, but I
discussion.
feel like I have no problem with that, but I feel like you're literally debating the worst person on the left to accuse of being too nice to BLM. But if you want to, yeah, we absolutely can. No problem with that.
That's fine. We can get to that specifically. So let's start on the definitions of insurrection, right? I think you tell me if you agree or disagree with this. There are multiple types of definitions for a word. So there are what we understand colloquially as sort of a society to understand what a definition of the term is. Oftentimes that could be different than what the actual legal definition of the term. So for example, something like burglary, the actual legal definition of the term burglary might be different than what the average person, when they say burglary, means. Would you agree with that?
Maybe. I'm going to make this a little bit more specific. We're going to be really, really, really precise here, okay?
Okay.
I think we're going to agree. I'm just going to reframe some of what you say into a more formal sense, okay? When we define terms, there are words that we understand to mean certain things. But the way that we define a term or an event might be different than, say, all of the different elements of a particular crime that might share the same word, that might show up like in...
What the fuck? What happened?
or in court. So, as you said, somebody might say that, wow, this guy, he broke into my house and he broke into my house and he beat the shit out of me or something, right? He broke into my house and he assaulted me. But maybe in court, maybe it didn't count as like breaking and entering. Maybe it only counted as trespassing because of maybe a technicality because the door was open or something. I think that'd still be right, but like something like that, right? So in this case, we've got a colloquial term. You broke into my house, and then we've got like the legally accepted death.
What would the legal ramifications be, which is why we would prefer a legal definition in that sense, but also what we should do politically, like who should we vote for? What does it mean to engage in an insurrection? I think that term's more important. So I'll give you what my definition of the term insurrection is, and then I assume you're going to use
That's not delivery.
but I'll give you a chance to
That's
reread
fucking
it.
DiGiorno.
I think there were 4 parts, but this is what I came up
Incredible.
with and what I think. And this is just
It's the only
off top
knife
of
I
my
have in
head.
this entire
I
house.
said an insurrection is a group of people
It's a
planning
bit
a
overkill for
serious
the job,
attempt
but
to overthrow the government using
it does a
violence.
damn good job, I'll tell you that.
Engaged in an insurrection. I think that term's more important. So I'll give you what my definition of the term insurrection is, and then I'll allow you. I assume you're going to use the same definition you used with Andrew, but I'll give you a chance to reread it. I think there are 4 parts, but this is what I came up with and what I think.
Well, personal
This is
opinion
just
stuff
off the top of
crushed.
my head. I said an insurrection is a group of people planning a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence.
$3.99.
When people hear the
For that.
term insurrection, I feel that
Pretty good.
that's the generally accepted in the ballpark of what we're talking about. Asking a group of people, they have to be using violence for an attempt, a serious attempt to overthrow the government. That's what I think people mean by insurrection. I don't think they mean protesting one law. That if you're upset with, say, mail carrying laws, and that you use violence to stop a mail carrier, that you've engaged in an insurrection. So that's why I prefer the colloquial term. I'm willing to listen to what your legal definition is. I think that your legal definition, I'm going to have problems with it, which I can illustrate, and I also question whether or not January 6th meets the definition of insurrection under the definition that you'll give. But that's
Sure. Okay, I might try to
I'm
live in
old.
both worlds here, so I'm curious. But
Okay.
we'll see. Okay. I'm going to ask. I'm gonna torture your definition a little bit. Okay, so you said a group of people planning a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence, right? Okay. My first question is going to be.
Destiny, who
I'm gonna
cares,
go
bro?
full Jordan Peterson on you. When you say group, does it just mean 2 or more people?
I would say, yeah. I would say that would probably fall within that definition of it, 2 or more people. I think that I'll just sort of maybe envision where you're going to go with some of this. I think.
No, wait. Hold on, real quick.
Okay.
Don't envision where I'm going. I'm not trying to trap you on anything. I'm
No,
just
I know.
tired
I'm
enough
just going to say it is a threshold argument, right? Like,
Sure, yeah, I
don't know.
understand this, and also if by the time we reach the end of this, if you're like, this doesn't work, okay, I'm not trying to Andrew Wilson, we can go back and amend anything if you want.
Okay.
I don't care. I'm not trying to, yeah. Okay, so when you say group, we mean 2 or more people, okay? When you say people, I'm gonna assume that you mean like U.S. citizens / residents, right? Like Russians coming here and trying to do something you wouldn't consider an insurrection, I'm guessing?
Yeah, and I would say they also have to be non-state actors. Though let me be careful here. I have to think about this for a second, because I believe in 1954, the last time that U.S. Code 2383 with rebellion and insurrection was applied, I believe those were Puerto Rican nationals that fired weapons inside the Capitol. I think that was 1954. That was considered an insurrection. I think that
My God.
probably...
See what you did?
As long as you're a non-state actor...
See what you did on
So I
January
guess
6th.
the
We gotta
difference
listen to
here
this
would be
for
if you-
eternity.
And I also,
Go ahead.
real quick, when you're saying non-state actor, is the state you're referring to the federal government, individual state governments, or just anybody who's part of the government, period, from top to bottom?
I think it would have to be anyone that's part of the government from top to bottom in our country or a different country. So, for example, if the people affiliated with the government of Russia attacked, I don't think that's an insurrection. However, if people that happen to be Russian attacked and they're not affiliated with the state of Russia, that could be deemed an insurrection. Similarly, if a bunch of people, like let's say a general decides that he's going to try to overthrow the government. That's more of a coup, I think, than an insurrection, because those are state actors. So I think when I say group of people, I'm not thinking through it too specifically. We could get into why this would matter differently, but I think that it would have to be, for it to be an insurrection, non-state actors, like civilians.
Okay. And citizens that are civilians, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I don't think it has to be citizens, but yes. Like, for example, you could be an immigrant that's not a citizen and still engage.
I have citizen/residents.
Okay.
But like, I'm guessing, like, if a ton of, like, let's say a ton of DACA recipients were to try to, like, attack and overthrow the government, would you consider that like an insurrection, or?
Yeah, I think that would if they meet the rest of the threshold, I think that would be an insurrection. That group would qualify.
Okay. I don't think this will even come up or matter, but I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
A group of people. Okay. You said planning. What does planning mean to you?
I think that the planning has to be something that they pre-planned, and there has to be violence included in the plan that is for the purpose of the overthrow of the government. So, for example, it's not enough to say, we don't like this tax law, right? For example, if we take the Whiskey Rebellion example, we don't like that they're taxing, we don't think the federal government should have that. They have to then go the step further and plan to use violence as part of their initiative to overthrow the government. So it's not enough to just say, we don't like what the government's doing here, and we're going to show up, and if we're attacked, we'll fight back. It has to be, we are going to use violence to change this government, to overthrow this government. That has to be part of the planning process.
I bought you, dog, for carry that
plan
shit.
a violent thing to overthrow the
Carry
government.
that big ass bag home for you. Enough.
Wait, real quick.
My food.
When
Go.
you say violence and you say planning to use violence, does intimidation count or no?
No.
So like okay, so if 100 people show up and they're like, we're not going to use them, but let's all like bring guns and show up in force just so that they know we mean business. That wouldn't count. Let's say every other element was met. They want to overthrow the government. They're going to all go show up with rifles and stuff, but they're like, we're probably not going to use them. Just like bring them just so that they know we're like serious. That wouldn't count.
I don't think so. I don't think that's what people today understand when they're saying the term insurrection would apply them. For example, it's very legal in most states to open carry. I don't think exercising your right to open carry at a protest, let's say you were against the overturning of Roe v. Wade in Dobbs, right? If a bunch of pro-choicers exercise their Second Amendment rights to open carry and showed up in protest, you might be intimidated by that if you disagreed, but I don't think that qualifies as an insurrection because there wasn't planning to use violence to overthrow the government.
Speaking then to intent here, just curious, how would you ever discern in a group whether they plan to use violence or not? If, let's say, when they when they show up to do the insurrection, the other side like gives up immediately because they see other people.
Well, it would be difficult, just like there's always difficult in providing intent. If you had evidence.
Wait. I'm sorry, real quick, because this gets brought up so much. It's not difficult to do intent. I don't know where the solution came from, or if it only comes up in this. That's not true. All criminal prosecutions in the United States rely on proving intent. You have to have a mens rea element to commit a crime if it's not like a strict liability or whatever offense. So you can prove intent. It's not that difficult. We do it all the time in criminal court. So just to return, because I'm asking, like, it seems like you could very easily, like, I guess, foresee almost any insurrection being planned, and it would say, like, make sure you show up, bring guns, we might have to fight, whatever. But if you show up and nobody resists, then it feels like, well, they didn't use violence.
Then you would then if it's easy to prove the intent, you would show the intent by proving that their planning included using violence to overthrow the government, as opposed to just saying we're going to arm ourselves to protect ourselves if violence is enacted against us. You'd be able to prove that easily, as you said.
What if you show up with here's a question, okay? You live in a house or an apartment, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say that I go and I'm going to occupy your
Who
living
gives
room,
a fuck
okay?
if it was in a room?
Because I don't
Why are they
live
so
in a
hung up
room,
on
it just
these
makes me too
words
bad.
and
I'm
shit?
going to live in Rob's living room. I don't care if you want me there or not. I am going to bring a gun to protect myself, though. Do you think that if I show up like that, would you say that I'm intending to use that gun or no?
It's a different
My
question.
rationale would be, I'm showing up. I know I'm going to be trespassing on your property, maybe even breaking and entering. And if I bring a gun, I know you're going to want me to leave. And it's probably not likely that you're going to demand or that you're going to be happy that I live there, right? So at some point, I feel like if I bring a gun, I feel like we're kind of like, I'm basically planning to use it, right? I'm kind of bringing it like, yeah, go ahead.
The analogy doesn't work very well because you're allowed to show up to protest something.
Wait, real quick. Hold on, now, this is the only request I'm going to make of you, okay? And I'm begging you, okay? Because I love you, I appreciate you, you have a good brain, okay? That's why I'm talking about this. I like you more than Andrew, okay? please stop trying to head off my arguments, okay? I'm not, if you say something and later on I bring up a point and you're like, oh, this doesn't work, we can go back and we can amend any definition you give it. I'm not trying to trap you or crucify you on something you said. So if you want to change something later, that's fine. But don't try to give me something now trying to head off every single potential argument.
Well, that's not what
you're absolutely correct for a variety of reasons. Me trespassing on private property doesn't mean the same thing as me going to a public protest with a fire. I agree with you 100%. But I'm not necessarily going there. I'm just trying to figure out like how we would prove the intent of this particular thing. Like, did he plan to use a gun if I break into your house and I've got a gun on me and I'm planning, I know you're gonna fight back. That's just my question, yeah.
No, I would say, I still think that it's relevant to say that the analogy is far off base. I'm not trying to hedge off arguments. I'm saying that it changes the way that we analyze things, right? But let's try to not do that for the sake of this argument and say this. Okay, no, that doesn't prove that his intent was to use that gun. His intent was to commit a crime, and he had a firearm on him, but that is still not proof that he intended to use that firearm in order to commit his crime, no.
Okay, just curious. So I disagree with your assessment here, but I'm going to sidestep for a quick second and ask, are you aware, my understanding is that in criminal law, courts would disagree with you. So something that I'm pretty sure is true is if you were to break into somebody's, no, I'm sorry, I'm speaking as a police officer, not break in. Let's say you do no-knock warrant, you get into somebody's house. If you find drugs in an area and you find a firearm right next to them, I'm pretty sure it's impossible in court that that firearm can be charged like as an accessory to having like using it to defend basically drugs or whatever. That's a charge that can get added on just because of the proximity to the gun and the drugs. That a court could assume reasonably that you plan to use one to defend the other, and that you can be convicted in front of a jury as a crime for this. Are you aware of this, or do you want me to? We can look up.
No, I believe that. I'll take your word for it. I think that sounds reasonable.
You don't need pussy. You need Jesus.
Correct. The problem I have with that is that doesn't prove that the intent was to use that gun for a specific action to commit violence. It could show that the way that those laws are written are specifically that intimidation is a factor that could be included that would be enough to make that charge. When I'm saying that intimidation doesn't mean what I think is the colloquial definition, then no, you would need to provide that there was some planning that planned to use violence in a serious attempt to overthrow the government.
Okay, then let's say that if I go back to the house example, so I break into your house and I say, I want to be in Rob's apartment or house. I want to be streaming from his living room because I'm going to bring a gun to protect myself, though. If I say instead, I'm going to bring a gun to protect myself, let's say that instead I say, I'm going to bring a gun because I know he's going to try to fucking attack me. When he does, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to shoot him. Would that rise to the level of planning to use the gun or no?
So...
I'm qualifying it by saying if he attacks me, I'm going to
if you had like a statement where he said, he's sending an email to someone, he says, I'm going to rob this person's house, I'm going to break into their house, right? And I'm taking a gun because I know he'll try to interfere and then I can shoot and kill him. Yes, that would rise to the level of intent.
Okay, hold on, let me just write these two down. Okay. I don't believe there is almost no daylight between these statements of I'm going to bring a gun to defend myself versus I'm going to bring a gun because I know he'll try to attack me and when he does I'll shoot him. I feel like these two statements are essentially identical if we're considering the crime of like trespassing.
I disagree. I think that there is a difference in saying that you intend, that you predict that you're going to use that gun to kill someone in the commission of you committing a crime versus you saying, I'm going to go commit a crime, and if I have to defend myself because a level of violence is bore against me, then I'll defend myself. I think those are two different things. I think the latter does not have an intent to use violence or a pre-planning to use violence to commit the crime.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me get a drink 1 second.
Now, I still would like to say, I'm being generous trying to engage in the analogy, but I think is inappropriate to what we're talking about. It's not analogous to what we're talking about. But for the sake of allowing the discussion to proceed forward.
Wait, hold on, I'm back. Okay, wait. I feel like I want to fight more on this because the law, I'm pretty sure the law completely disagrees with you here. That, like for instance, I think during the Apple River stabbing, if we wanted to prove the difference between like a second degree versus a first degree murder, or a second degree like reckless endangerment versus like, I think intentional manslaughter might be a crime, I don't know, something like this, that like, we should look up, if you want to take a break also, I got like 10 hours of stream today. If you want, we can start looking up criminal statutes and everything as well for guidelines. I'm pretty sure that if I were to start a fight
get
with
some
somebody
pussy destiny.
and I
Oh
had a
my
firearm
god.
on me,
Oh
I
my
think
god.
legally, I think you automatically, can somebody tell me right now, do you automatically forfeit the right to use self-defense as an affirmative defense if you start conflict or if you start something illegal and you have a firearm on you? I think that's true. Do you agree with that, or do you want us to look this up and go into this?
Look it up. I don't think it'll be very germane, but I don't mind you looking up if you think it is germane. I think that I would envision that there are times that probably that's not the case. For example, if I'm going to get into fisticuffs with my neighbor and I have a gun on me, and all of a sudden, in the example of those fisticuffs, he pulls a knife and starts stabbing my child, and then I use my firearm to shoot him, I'm not so sure that I still can't make a claim for reasonable self-defense there, or reasonable. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Can you walk? Hold on. What does fisticuffs mean? I'm sorry.
Like a fist fight. Like if I go to get
Oh,
my say,
yeah,
I'm
Sydney,
down with
you
my neighbor,
dumb
I'm gonna go
bitch.
knock on his door when he
Oh
answers the
my
door. I'm
god.
gonna shove him, and that's assault technically. And then if he all of a sudden responds with overwhelming force, for example, he decides to start shooting at me, I'm not so sure then if I shoot back, if that still can't be made as a claim of self-defense.
Oh, okay.
I
That's
don't
what
know.
you're saying.
Or if he
There is a,
attacks someone that's with me that didn't shove him or something to that.
Sure. I understand what you're saying.
But I don't. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a case that we watched. I was surprised at this, but I believe that a man walked over to a house to complain about music too loud, a house party, man shoots. I believe the guy goes over to a house to complain that the music is way too loud for a house party. I think he might even be standing at the end of the driveway, and I think that as he's out there, I want to say the owner comes out to argue with him, and the guy has a firearm on him. The guy that gets the complaint, he says, "Stop coming near me. If you come near me, I'm going to shoot you," or whatever. And eventually the guy does approach him, he pulls his gun and he shoots him. And I think it was the fact that he went over there, I think that weighed against him. I think if you bring a firearm and then you go to do a particular thing, I think that I think it weighs a lot against you in court. Maybe you don't automatically lose the right to self-defense, but I think it weighs really heavily against you when you're trying to prove your case for it.
I certainly would agree with that. I think that it would weigh against you. I'm just saying I don't know that it's open and shut.
Sure, it might not be open and shut, but I think it would weigh against you a lot.
But again, if I could just, and I don't mind going down this road, you feel free to interrogate my definition, that's fine. But again, I think that the analogies aren't going to apply because there has to be, in my definition, a plan of the action of attempting to overthrow the government, a serious attempt to overthrow.
Oh yeah, no, sure, yeah, I understand that. We're not even at that point. Yeah, we're not even at that point. Yeah, right. What I'm trying to get here is that if I hear this, okay, let me abstract this. If I plan to go and do something, and I know I'm going to be resistant doing it, and I bring a weapon with me, I would say that the intent to use the weapon is 100% there, full stop. That if me and some friends say we want to go either break into somebody's house, we want to go rape a girl, we want to go steal candy bars from a store, we want to go vandalize somebody's car, we want to go, we just want to go do something bad that we know we plan on meeting some kind of resistance, okay? That if that's going to happen and we bring weapons with us, we're planning to use these weapons. We're going to use these weapons to ensure that we can commit the crime. We might not have to because they'll run away, they'll be too scared or whatever, but by bringing the weapon and going to do something where we expect resistance to happen, we're planning on using those weapons. I feel like this is a 99% of society would agree with this. So if we disagree here, we can fight on this if we want, and then I'll figure out what we can look up or research to fight here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that, again, not to belabor the point, but I think the analogy is very different. And what I'm saying, though, specifically is because I'm not talking about what the legal definition would be. I'm talking about, in the colloquial sense, if you're just asking, did this person intend to use that weapon to commit violence to this crime? If we could read into their mind or we could see their planning, and they send an email and say, look, of course, I always carry a firearm with me, but we're going to go
the
trespass.
legal definition,
we're going to
the
go break
term.
into this person's house. I just have a gun in case I need to defend myself. That is different than saying, I'm going to have this gun and I'm going to use it to brandish it in that person's face and then pull the trigger so that I can steal his stuff. The second provides a clear content that there was planning and a plan of use of violence to commit the crime.
I understand what you're saying, but I feel like that second one, then, you would never, ever, ever, it was to be exception, you'd almost never see this show up. Because, even if I plan to kill somebody, I'm never going to say it like that, ever.
Well, that's true. That is true, though the definition, or many of the cases that you've outlined of what insurrections will be, such as the Whiskey Rebellion.
Wait, I'm not even at I'm just trying to get on this one thing before we try to get
Okay, let me rephrase it.
I'm trying to figure this one thing, yeah.
Let me rephrase it real quick. What I would say is, my definition seems to be better than yours then because this is never charged.
What's never charged?
The U.S. Code 2383 on insurrection
No, I'm
or
not-
the 14th
yeah.
Amendment. So again,
I'm
you're saying...
just trying to see how
Dude,
we
my
can figure
legs
out,
are
like,
so sore
for somebody
tomorrow. Oh
in terms
my
of bringing
God.
a weapon to an event that they know will be violent. That's all I'm
Okay,
asking. Right?
I
Not
get
even
it.
that intersection. Nothing.
I'm not gonna go do shit
What I'm
tomorrow,
saying
for real.
is, if one of your attacks on part of my definition of the term insurrection is, but that would be very difficult. We'd almost never find that being able to be applied. That seems to be exactly how things have bore out. So I don't think that it's a good criticism because it's in line
I'm
with
I'm not even criticizing your definition. To be clear, if you want, you can literally turn on my screen. I've written Rob's definition of insurrection.
Okay.
I have a group of people planning a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence. And then I said I was just going to go through and I just want to make sure I understand every single part of this. We have a group, you mean two or more people. You've got people, meaning U.S. citizens / residents, people who are generally legally, who are non-government actors, state actors, you would say would mean a coup. And then what I'm trying to figure out when you say planning, you say that means they pre-plan a violent thing to overthrow the government. Yes. And now what I'm trying to figure out is, well, what counts as pre-planned violence? That's all I'm trying to figure out. Because like, in my mind, it sounds like what you're saying is, let's say that there's a kid and I want to take his lunch money. Okay? Let's say that me and 5 people go over to steal his lunch money and all of us bring knives. In my world, and I think 99% of people would agree, they would also like, this is obviously pre-planning violence. But it sounds like in your world, you're saying, well, if they bring knives just to defend themselves while they go to steal his money, and he ends up attacking them and they end up stabbing him, that doesn't mean they pre-planned the violence. But I would assume,
Down,
and I'm
Marshall.
pretty sure this is true in criminal court, like I said, we can
Down.
look this up and Google around if you want.
Down.
If you were to
Get
bring
down.
a weapon in the commission of a crime, I'm almost positive that you automatically charged with having that weapon, even if you don't use it. Like, or if you do end up using it, I think the intent to use it is going to be shown, I think, because if you're intending to commit the crime and using the weapon or bring a weapon with you. But it seems like you're disagreeing on this point. But just to go on the lunch money example, that if 5 people went to steal lunch money from a kid and they all brought knives with them in case he decided to fight back, I feel like that's pre-planning violence for sure. But you're saying no, there's just planning a robbery.
Well, no. Well, the robbery in itself is an act of violence, right? Like the force.
Wait. We're not talking about. And no, wait. Why is a robbery itself an act of violence?
Because it's like if you're intending robbery to mean the same way that I'm looking at it, that you physically grab a possession from someone and take it, that's an act of violence. That's
Okay,
different than like
let's just assume that
burglary.
the robbery is going to be that his lunch money is in his desk. We're going to go to the class and we're going to take the lunch money out of his
Okay,
desk.
that's
right?
a bet. So yeah, okay. So that in that case, no. I think if you thought, oh, he's not going to be there, but we all have pocket knives on us just in case we ever get into shit or in case this person wants to do something to us, but we're going to sneak in and steal that money from his desk, and we just have the knives in case someone tries to intervene. No, that is not you planning to use violence to commit that crime.
Okay. I super disagree on this. I think we have to
That's fair,
resolve this.
but you understand that's different than me being like, hey, there's Destiny, hold him while I take his wallet out. That to me is an act of violence, like someone physically holding you.
Sure,
or removing
but if you're doing something and you know that any reasonable person in here would assume that there's going to be some resistance, and if you bring weapons with you, then any reasonable one would assume you intend to use them to carry out the crime.
I disagree. I think that's, for the sake of this, I think...
Destiny, did they use the
we can
weapons
get
or
into the
not, you
details of if
fucking
this is going
retard?
to be important, why that's the case. I don't
Did
think
they
it's going
use
to
the
end up being that
weapons?
important,
This
but
No.
might be essential because now
So
I'll look
who
ahead because you
gives a
keep looking
fuck?
ahead
What
in
are
the
you
argument, okay?
talking about?
But
I'm
because
trying
I'm going
not
to say
to.
that.
I mean,
Will
I
you
think
keep
I'm
saying it's
idiot.
disanalysis and it doesn't refer to insurrection or wouldn't
I've
be.
said
I'm
that
just
like
trying to
2 or
figure out.
3 times, right? That's. I think that I'm being
Waste
pretty
of time
generous
arguing
in the
about
fact that I don't
irrelevant
really
shit
applies to
that
what we're
doesn't
talking
matter.
about. But I'm trying my best to engage in it. And, again,
If they brought some guns, if there were some people that had guns, doesn't that mean they intended to overthrow the government with those guns? Hey, Destiny. Did they use the guns? Did they use the guns? They didn't use them, Destiny. They didn't use them. Nobody used them. So what the fuck does it matter, you stupid fuck? What the fuck are you even arguing about? It's so fucking dumb.
to understand. I'm not talking about the legal definition of terms. I'm talking about, to me, does that mean that that person intended to commit an act of violence? If they said, I want to steal this from someone's desk, I'm hoping they're not around, but if they are around and they start enacting violence on me, I'll be prepared to defend myself against that violence. No, I think that is different than saying, I'm going to take a weapon, or I'm going, even without a weapon, I'm going to punch this person or physically assault them in an attempt to steal what I want from them. That is clearly a planning using violence as part of that plan. I think those are two different things.
Can you defend yourself while committing a crime if the other person is expected to defend themselves? So, like, for instance, if I break into somebody's house with a gun to defend myself while I'm robbing them, can I defend myself if they try to kill me while I'm stealing from them?
And legally, I'm not sure exactly. This sort of gets back to what you said earlier. I'm sure that there's probably...
I'm just asking, like, in your mind, like, does that count as self-defense? Like, I break into somebody's house because I want to steal some shit, but I bring a gun in case the owner's there. Owner comes downstairs, finds me, and he tries to kill me as I'm stealing his shit, and I shoot and kill him. Would you say, yeah, I mean, it was self-defense. It was legitimate.
I would say that probably is an act of self-defense that wouldn't held up legally, but that's still...
Would you personally, would you consider it, like, morally, you'd say, like, oh, yeah, self-defense. I think morally he's in the right there. Let's say
no, I would not think he's morally in the right.
Okay. Why not?
Because I think that the act of being the first person to engage in the crime means the other person has the right to defend themselves and their property. Therefore, you're already acting immorally when they have the moral righteousness to defend their property, including using acts of violence. That itself is an extension of self-defense, and so you can't claim self-defense as a moral backing to go against someone else's claim of self-defense. I could turn this.
How can you? Because I would transfer that entirely to what I'm saying about the if you show up with knives to take somebody's lunch money and then you go to take it from their desk and then that person catches you and then they try to defend you. You know, they want to protect their lunch money and then you end up stabbing them and killing them. Why wouldn't that transfer over in the same way? Like, how is that different?
I'm sorry, I cut out a little on the. If
you were to show up to somebody's desk to take their lunch money with knives and the other person caught you trying to take their lunch money and then they defended it and then you ended up stabbing them while they were trying to, kill you or defend taking the lunch money, why doesn't it transfer over 100% there?
Well, it's not that it doesn't transfer over. I would still feel the same way morally. That's a different question of, did the planning of this include using violence in order to commit this act of this crime? I'd still say no to the latter.
Let's say I break into somebody's house. Let's say that I know they're there. I break into somebody's house and I have a gun with me. You wouldn't say that I'm planning on using that gun?
No.
As part of my...
Let's move the analogy a little. Let's say it's a pocket knife. You break into someone's house and you have a pocket knife on you. Were you planning on using that pocket knife?
Yeah, I think it's part of my plan.
How about this? If you break into somebody's house, we execute you in Times Square on national television. How about that, Destiny?
It's to defend myself if I get caught doing the crime.
How's that? How's that for a thought, Destiny? Because that's what I think they should do. Who gives a fuck about some loser who breaks into people's houses? They ought to toss him off a cliff.
Well, for example, I know people that always have pocket knives on them. I know people that have pocket knives on their keychains. So there's a ton of reasons.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a concealed carry permit or concealed carry license?
I do not.
Okay. Maybe it's different everywhere else. Okay. But one of the things they stress when you get a concealed carry permit is that, like, once you have a concealed carry permit and you have a firearm, your behavior changes, right? In my mind, maybe you disagree with this. Let's say that I'm at a bar, okay, and I'm getting rowdy like I do with my boys, okay, and some guy's pissing me off and I just want to beat the shit out of him because this is what I do when I go out, okay? I think that I would have different moral and probably legal responsibilities if I was carrying a gun versus not. If I'm not carrying a gun, I don't go fight some dude. Well, fuck it, let's fight. Who cares? Let's brawl, okay? But if I have a firearm on me, I can't fight the guy because now if I start to lose or something escalates or whatever, well, now I have a gun. Now somebody's going to get killed. I think there's a different moral and legal responsibility there. There's a difference between, like, a guy saying, like, well, I always carry a knife in case I have to stab somebody if they try to kill me, versus a guy who's like, I'm going to carry a knife and I'm going to go commit a crime where I expect somebody to try to kill me, or at least, like, do some kind of violence against me to kick me out. Because a guy with a knife, we acknowledge, like, if a guy has a weapon and he's in a house and then the owner shows up and tries to repel him, he's never surrendering without using the weapon, right?
Okay, in general, there's little things I can quibble about, but I don't think they'll be relevant. So I'll say in general, I agree with you, but I think that it's changing what we're talking about. We've again...
Destiny. I mean, what the fuck? Oh my god.
To what the legal definition of self-defense would be, and morally whether or not you have the right to call that self-defense and to act out upon it, versus what we were talking about originally was using violence part of your planning in the commission of that crime. So let's change the analogy slightly. Let's take someone like George Floyd. Let's say George Floyd had a pocket knife on him. Now, George Floyd committed several crimes. He apparently stole something from a store. He resisted arrest. So if, while he's getting his head pinned down by police officers, he reaches in his pocket and pulls out a pocket knife and stabs them in the leg, trying to save his own life because there's an act of violence that's going to take his life, would you say that's self-defense?
Okay, it's complicated because we've got him committing a crime, and then we've got a secondary issue of him being captured by the police officer. So, for instance, if I were to take what you just said, and I were to say the police officer caught him like while he was committing the crime, then the answer I would say is clearly 100% yes. I would say, yeah, he was planning. Yeah, he has a knife on him. He's committing a crime. He got caught while committing the crime, and now he's using the weapon while committing the crime to get away with the crime. I would say the answer is definitely yes. So, in the event that happened where he died, I would still say that, yeah, he committed armed robbery. Even if he didn't use the weapon, he had it on him while he was committing the crime. I think, didn't he use a counterfeit bill? I don't remember what the crime was exactly.
Yeah,
We'll say it was something, right? I would say that, yeah, he had a weapon on him. I would say, yeah, I would count that as armed robbery. I guess we could try to look up criminal statutes on this, but I would count that as some kind of armed robbery. But the thing that makes this a little bit more complicated is like if a police officer catches you afterwards, and then you're like trying to set the police officer who's killing you, it's such a, I would say it's such a huge. The problem is cops aren't supposed to try to kill you. If he pulled out the knife and he just stabbed the cop as he was trying to get arrested, then I would say the answer is like clearly, yeah, it's still committing a crime 100%. Yeah. And I think he had the intent to use the weapon to get away with the crime 100%. Yeah, for sure. I would say. Yeah.
I disagree. I think that although technically what you're saying there is correct, it doesn't get to the broader point. I think this is directly analogous to your example, which is, can you ever, if you're committing a crime and you have a weapon on you, have a legitimate claim to self-defense? I think the George Floyd situation in that point, even though he committed a crime, even though he would have been armed in this scenario, and even though the police had the right to detain him, because they went too far in how they were detaining him, he would have legitimately had a case for self-defense if he had defended himself using any amount of violence, let alone a weapon, in order to try to save his own life in that point. I don't see how that would change if it's not a police officer. So, for example, if it wouldn't have been police officers, but it would have just been citizens, for example, the owner of the shop that decided to hold him down and detain him and put his knee in his neck, and he couldn't breathe. And so he reaches up with his fist and starts punching back, which is assault, which is an act of violence. But that's clearly a case of self-defense.
I think the reason why it feels a little bit different or why it's changing a bit is because now it seems like the other guy isn't just trying to repel you from committing a crime. Now the guy's escalating it into something completely different. Like, for instance, if let's say that you didn't have a weapon at all and the store owner was like trying to kill you for shoplifting, that store owner would be charged with murder, right? He wouldn't get away with that.
Correct.
Right? He's committing a crime there. So you're committing a misdemeanor, and then he's committing like a class A felony of like first degree murder, basically. And then you're defending yourself against that. I think that we're at such a disparate level of crime here. And I could probably imagine some crimes that you could commit with a weapon where you could defend yourself. So, for instance, clipping somebody's yard, like you walk through somebody's yard, that is trespassing, right? And if the second you did it, like fucking Usain Bolt, okay, the fastest runner in the world, runs out of the house to go and beat the shit out of you because you clipped his yard, you crossed through it, and then you have a knife and you defend yourself. Like, in that case, would I say that, like, well, you lost the right to self-defense the second you stepped through his yard? I would say probably not. I would say that like, if you're committing almost for certain.
But it's his argument.
If you're committing crimes where you expect to meet any type of resistance and you have a weapon with you, I would say that the weapon is automatically being used to further the crime because you have it there to help you basically commit the crime, right? Like, would we imagine ever that you're committing the crime, somebody comes out to stop you, and then you use the weapon to defend yourself, but then you're like, okay, I'm not going to commit the original crime anymore, I'm just going to leave? Like somebody breaks in, and then, they've got like a ton of your money, and then you come down the stairs, and you're like, wait, and then you pull out a baseball bat, and the guy's like, hold on, and then he pulls out a gun. He's like, now listen, you got the bat, I got the gun. I'm going to leave your money now, but I'm just going to leave, right? No, they would use the weapon to finish committing the crime.
But I don't think that that's really germane to what we're talking about, because what you just admitted was you could envision a scenario where someone is committing a crime such as trespassing that is armed, but they would still, in some sort of hypothetical, have a reasonable case for self-defense, which would mean that the mere act of having the weapon in the first place while going to commit that crime wasn't a premeditated use of violence, because a reasonable person could say, well, I'm not going to use this weapon to commit this act of violence, to commit this crime. However, I'll keep it on me just in case things escalate to where I need to defend my life, because that stuff does happen. I could be being attacked in a way that I find to be unreasonable, that I fear for my life for the petty crime that I'm committing, such as the George Floyd situation that he gave. And so therefore you could imagine why he would have a knife on him, even though he didn't intend to use that knife in the commission of his crime of passing a fake bill.
Sure, but that's why I said before, and I said at
And
the
I
start,
bet
at the
they'll
head of this,
debate it
that
for
I
5
don't think you
hours
would
and
necessarily
still won't fucking
automatically
solve
concede
it.
your right to self-defense. But I think that any crime
And no
that you
one will
commit
care.
where there's like a reasonable understanding that another person is going to try to stop you, if you have a weapon, I would say you automatically intend to use that weapon to further the crime.
My legs are so
Well, it's
You're never surrendering. You're never getting beaten up without using your weapon, and you're probably never stopping the crime unless you literally can't carry it out anymore. So, like, you're always bringing that weapon in the commission of the crime. 100%, you are. You're never giving up. You're never like a guy doesn't go to a house with a gun for self-defense, and then the owner comes downstairs with a bat, and the guy just runs away, or the owner beats him up, and the guy like hobbles away. He's got his gun to defend himself, and that gun is to defend himself while he's in the commission of a crime.
that's fine, but that's different. And we could even say that should be illegal. He should, most cases, lose his right to self-defense, because, as I've already admitted, I support things like castle doctrine. Well, in general, I don't know specifically how it's worded or applied, but I do support people's right to defend their property using lethal means if necessary. I think that's something I support. All I'm saying is there is a difference between saying if you have a weapon and you go to commit a crime, that's tantamount to premeditation that you were going to use violence to commit that crime. I think those are two separate things. And the second thing is what I'm saying is required in my definition of insurrection, that you had to have premeditated wanting to use violence in your attempt to overthrow the government. It's not enough to say, but I will have, I reserve the right
We
to
don't
defend
worry about the
myself.
insurrection. Okay, wait. Here's a question. How would you, in your world, we agree that there's first-degree murder usually requires you've thought about it, you've premeditated it, and you have an intention to kill the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
We agree that for first-degree murder. In
I
your
think so, yeah.
world, okay. There's that. We're gonna say second-degree murder is you've engaged in action that you know is going to kill somebody. Okay, maybe there wasn't that a large premeditation element, but you've engaged in an action you know is going to kill somebody. And then manslaughter is maybe you've acted with reckless disregard towards human life, doing something that you know could have killed somebody, basically, right? I'm giving these as broad. Every state will define these a little bit differently.
Sure, yeah. I agree
world-
with you in general.
Yeah, sure. In your world, how would you ever convict somebody of second-degree murder
tortured.
ever? It seems like there would only ever be first-degree murder or manslaughter. That there would never be a second-degree murder ever,
Well, no.
because you could never.
Why? You already said people prove mens rea all the time. People prove intent all the time.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying here that everything that you've given me so far, I don't think any court would agree with anything you've laid out so far. So I'm trying to figure out, like, in your world, how would you ever prove like a second-degree murder? It would.
So,
It feels like in Rob's world, it would always be a manslaughter, because a person, well, he wasn't planning on using violence. It just kind of ended up happening as a result of some situation. But if he like had a whole plan to do it or whatever, it would just be first-degree murder. Like, I don't know how you would ever get.
Let me restate what I think you're saying about second-degree murder to make sure that I'm not getting confused. First-degree murder is I plan to kill that person, I take a weapon or not, whatever, I'm going to kill them. I show up, I kill them. It was premeditated, That's first degree. You're saying second-degree murder would be I'm planning to commit some sort of crime, but that doesn't rise to the level of murder, which predictably could escalate. And then when I commit that crime and it escalates and I kill that person, that's second-degree murder.
I guess I could be, yeah, if you kill them during the commission of some crime.
So
or...
I'm going to break into your house and steal all of your possessions, and you wake up and you come at me and I shoot you. That's second-degree murder, not first-degree murder, because I didn't premeditate to kill you, but I was committing a felony and then killed you in cold blood in the heat of the moment when you came. That would be second-degree murder?
Fuck. Actually, on that one, I don't know if that would be second degree or first. I'm not sure if that would be. That might actually be first degree murder. I'm not even sure.
I guess I'm
on
just
that one.
confused. I understand the difference between first degree and manslaughter, and like you said, I know each state defines these differently. But what are you? Can you just, as clear as possible, identify what you mean by second degree murder? How it's differentiated between manslaughter and first degree murder?
Oh my God.
So I think that so for second degree murder, let's say that you're it would be it would be something that could come up like spontaneously, but you're doing something with the intention to kill somebody that you know will kill them. So I think the difference between first and second degree might be like first degree murder is I'm talking to my wife, I find out that she, fucked 20 people at this bar, and I'm like, well, fuck, I'm gonna go to this bar and do a mass shooting, okay? You go to the bar, you bring an assault rifle, you got it fully loaded, you go to the bar, you start shooting, killing everybody, okay? This is first degree murder, right? You went in with you knew you were going to do this, you intended to kill them all, you know you're committing lethal force, right? And then second degree murder, like let's say that you're at a bar and then you find out that some guy is saying something like, oh yeah, like last night I came in your soup and you didn't even realize it. You're like, the fuck, you what? And then you reach down, let's say that you reach down and let's say somebody says that to you. You reach over, you grab a knife, you stab them in the neck like 10 times or whatever. You're so fucking pissed off. That might be second degree murder. Let's say that somebody says the same thing to you. Okay, I came in your Fruit Loops, 20 times this morning when you weren't watching. And you're like, what? And you punch this guy, like 5 times in the face, and he ends up dying, right? So I think the first case, when you go in and you shoot everybody because you find out, your wife fucked everybody in the bar, you shoot them all and kill them all. That's first degree murder. The guy tells you something about, coming in your Fruit Loops, you stab him 20 times in the neck. I think that would be second degree murder because you're engaging in an action that you know is going to kill somebody. And then I think the third one, where you punch somebody like 5 times right in the nose, you punch him even when he goes down to the ground, you're so fucking mad. I think that might be like first degree manslaughter or voluntary manslaughter, because you didn't really know it was going to kill him, but you're acting with such reckless disregard, and you know that you should know this, you could kill him, right? But it wasn't the same as like the second degree. You're intending to kill the guy, and for the first degree, it lacked that the deliberative element, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so then I think you answered the question. So then your question then becomes, how would there ever be a case for second degree murder? Well, you gave the argument. The difference is the premeditation. First degree murder is you hear something, you're premeditating, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm going to kill someone, and you act that out. That's premeditation, first degree murder in the example you're giving. Second degree murder is more of the heat of the moment. You're taking an action that you know will most likely result in the death of someone, like you shoot them, but it was a heat of the moment type thing. Manslaughter would be do something in the heat of the moment that you didn't necessarily know would result in death, like you punch them in the temple and they fall down.
Yeah, but here's my issue. The thing that I'm doing is I'm kind of transferring the intent, the first degree intent, from the crime to the murder. So for instance, if you would have that premeditated element if you were committing a crime, and if you brought a weapon with you and something during that crime happened where there was a back and forth and you end up killing a person, it's like, well, bro, you went to commit a crime where you knew the guy could oppose you with violent means and you brought a weapon. Of course, you're basically planning on killing a guy if he stops you from committing a crime. That's why I'm saying that the plan to use violence would be there if you're committing a crime and you have a weapon on you from the start, and it's a crime where you know that you're expecting to meet some kind of resistance.
I don't know. I don't know how that plays out in the legal field. Again, I'm not talking about my definition, particularly in the legalese of it, but my guess is there are an awful lot of times where people get charged for second degree murder in that very example that you just gave, such as you're in a gang and you're armed all the time and you show up to rob a rival gang, and then in the commission of that robbery, violence breaks out and you pull your gun and you shoot. That's, I'm guessing, more often than not going to be charged as second degree murder, would be my guess. I could be wrong about that, but for me,
well, I think that might actually fall under felony murder.
Well, maybe
if you're doing a robbery that involves violence, and if you had a weapon on you and somebody dies or you kill somebody or something happens during it, I think that would de jure be like felony murder there, because the law system has decided, well, listen, you're going to commit a crime where somebody, it's reasonable to expect during certain, I think these are only for like class, it depends on the state, but like high level felonies, there's going to be violence here, and then you bring a weapon and somebody dies, I think you would just get a felony murder charge there. And I believe felony murder, at least I'm looking here for, is this Florida law? Felony murder might be treated the same as first degree murder, at least in the state of Florida.
I don't don't know. It might be true. I'm telling you right now that I'm not a lawyer and I haven't looked into the difference between first degree and second degree. I'm saying that one of those is premeditated and the other isn't. Like saying, I'm planning, you acknowledge that there's a difference. Saying, we're going to go steal this.
No, I don't. I don't.
I completely disagree. I think that there's a difference saying we're going to show up and shoot John and steal his drugs versus, hey, get your weapons in case John fights back, but we're going to go steal his drugs, but we're not planning to kill him. I think those are two different things. One is clear premeditation, the other, premeditation to commit violence, the other is not. And again, like, we're spending a lot of time on this, which is fine, but I don't know how germane it is because, again...
Okay, well, to be meta, we're spending a lot of time on this because I don't know if I believe you think this or if you're really just trying to head off, if you feel like this is like a linchpin to the J6 argument.
I think that
in any circumstance, if somebody showed up to your house with firearms and their goal was to break in and steal like some family heirloom or some shit, and you caught them and you resisted and then they shot and killed you, I would 100% say, you guys this is what the fuck, you were planning on, if he showed up to do this, you were going to kill him the whole fucking time. Like, you brought a gun to this crime, like, you're planning, it's going to get violent if he catches you. Yeah, this is basically you planning on killing the dude.
No, I disagree. I would say that that's different. I would say,
or at the very least, you're planning on using violence to commit the crime.
Oh, I think... I don't know. Like, it would depend on the situation. For example, if I planned on going into the house that I knew people were there, that changes that changes what I would think about it versus I assume that everyone would be out of the house. Like, they're on vacation, so I plan my burglary attempt then, but I'm armed just in case the watchman shows up or someone comes while I'm doing it. I think in the first scenario, there seems to be more propensity to understand that violence is likely to occur versus the second scenario, which is that I seem to be taking steps to avoid violence, but I do protect myself by having a weapon or something. But again, to get it back, I understand you don't want to do this, but try to bring it back to what we're talking about with insurrection. I think that I'm being legitimate and good faith in what I'm determining to be what is commonly understood when we talk about the term insurrection, because I think that almost no one was calling the actions of many of the Black Lives Matter, including the initial Minneapolis situation, an insurrection. I didn't call it that. I don't know anyone that did, because I think that the common vernacular when we're using that term is that we assume that it means sort of the things that I'm saying, that it's like people planning to use violence in an attempt to overthrow the government.
Just curious then. So, would you say then? Okay, sorry, we'll move on from this in a second. We can't agree, I guess, so we'll just mark this as a disagreement.
Okay,
but I think this is probably going to come up in the future.
That's
Even
fine,
in my definition, this might come up in the future.
Okay.
Does this mean that you would never ever say that violence was pre-planned unless the planned crime itself included violence then? So for instance, if I were to plan to do assault with a deadly weapon or to murder somebody with a deadly weapon, we would both agree those obviously include a plan of violence, correct?
Sure, yes.
But if we plan to do every single other crime, as long as the plan didn't include violence, then we would never say that violence was part of the plan. So I could plan to break in an entry, I could plan a rape or sexual assault, I could plan to beat somebody up with my hands, with my fists, I could plan to steal every single dollar a person owns, I could plan to steal a person's car, I could plan to set their house, I could plan to do all these things, but none of those plans, even if we brought a gun to every single one, you would never say any of those plans include, like, violence with a deadly weapon. None of those plans include it, even if I bring a weapon to commit all of those crimes.
I mean... This is difficult because the examples you give range from clear acts of violence like rape versus stealing money. So, like, then the definition changes to violence with a deadly weapon. I don't know. I think if you're committing a rape and you have a knife on that's clearly visible and being brandished, I think...
it doesn't have to be visible brandished. Don't add to it. What if you have a knife in your pocket? Sure, okay.
I would say in that definition, because you're already committing, it seems to not matter at that point because we're talking about whether or not violence was being intended. You're clearly intending to commit violence if you're raping someone. Would I say that it's violence with a deadly weapon? Sure.
You wouldn't say you're clearly intending violence if you're breaking into somebody's house and stealing things?
No. You think that's clearly an intent on violence?
Like if you hell yeah. Like if I'm in my home and somebody's broken in, that person's dying. I'm not gonna have a conversation with that guy. You're in my fucking house, right? I'm sneaking through with my fucking laser strobe light on my little alien Luago, and I'm gonna use that $5,000 pistol to unload all 17 rounds into you and your fucking friend. We're gonna have a conversation. My assumption is already that this is like the end game. You're gonna have a conversation with a person, right? That's a little bit just like on a personal level, I guess, but like, I'm pretty sure you would say the same, that if, yeah, if somebody's broken into somebody's house and they're stealing things, we're already at the maximum level of escalation.
I disagree. I just do. I don't think violence is premeditated. Again, it depends on the scenario. If we use the scenario where you fully expect someone to not be home, right? That's not a premeditation of violence then to attempt to break into their home while they're not home. And then you end up using, you've already conceded the example where you could see where someone could have a weapon and use it even in the commission of crime and it would still be a legitimate.
Hold on, wait a second. When I say, you keep saying I've conceded that point, and I didn't. I said at the very beginning that we could imagine some crimes where maybe it wouldn't happen. So for instance, you clip somebody's yard, okay? But we're very squarely in the area of we're doing a crime where we expect there to be some sort of resistance and we bring a weapon while committing that crime. I am saying that the intent is already automatically there to use the weapon in the commission of that crime. And that if it happens, the violence was essentially planned for, I would say. But you're saying that, no, it's not planned for. You could be trying to avoid violence and you'd have the weapon just in case. If the weapon is there just in case, it's just in case of what?
Just
the person protects himself from you committing a crime?
Yes.
So how is that not an intention to use the weapon to commit the crime?
Because, right, again, if George Floyd's passing fake money and he has a pocket knife on him, and then is that his intent to use that knife to commit that crime?
If the difference here is it would depend on how it works. Let's say that he uses fake money that's like obviously fake, and then the storekeeper like sees it, and the storekeeper goes to arrest him or something, and he like stabs the storekeeper on his way out or some shit, then I would say, yeah, what the fuck? You're using a knife to make sure that you're safe while committing your crime. It's harder to imagine this one because like you're giving something to somebody like walking away or whatever, as opposed to stealing something in a traditional way. Like, for instance, like if I were to scam you of $1,000 through PayPal, could you like, and I've got a knife on me in my computer room, am I like using my knife to commit the crime? Like,
right.
Fake money. But like if we make it a little bit more tangible, like shoplifting. Yeah, if you're shoplifting and you've got a weapon on you, yeah, 100% you're using that weapon with the intention to commit the crime, and you're using it to further the crime. 100%.
Oh no, even in that example, I mean that's a better example. Then I completely disagree with that. Like
if somebody has a knife or a gun on them and they shoplift, you don't think that they're using the knife or gun with the intention of furthering the crime?
No. If they have mace on them and they shoplift, that's probably, most women I know carry a little bit of pepper spray in their purse, right? So that would mean any woman that shoplifts is intending to commit violence because she has pepper spray in her purse?
Yeah, I would say that you have, the intent is basically there, yes.
No, I think that's
to defend yourself in the
crazy.
commission of the crime.
But that's not premeditated attempts to use violence. That's
So then
crazy.
going back to this then, so then what I said initially then is there's no such thing in your world. There is no premeditation to use violence except for on explicitly violent acts themselves. So like you have to be planning to assault somebody, planning to murder somebody, planning to use a weapon. But otherwise, a weapon that's used in the commission of another crime never counts as a plan for violence. It's just the other crimes.
I think that the plan to use violence to overthrow the government in that, like the Whiskey Rebellion, they created a militia, to fight against the federal government. That's enough at that point to say that they intended to use violence to achieve their goals. I think that, maybe we're arguing much to do about nothing because you may end up saying that that's what January 6th was. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that there needs to be premeditation to be willing to use violence in your attempts to overthrow the government. I don't think...
Okay, well, in this case then, just curious then, and this isn't a kill shot argument to you, so you can concede this. You can say this and it doesn't necessarily destroy everything.
Okay.
But like, in this case, shouldn't you never, if you were planning an insurrection, you would never say, we're going to go here with the intent to use force. You would always just say, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and overthrow the government today. Everybody come with me. Make sure you guys have your weapons just in case like a cop attacks us or something, okay? But everybody bring your weapons. We're going to go insurrect and overthrow the government. That wouldn't be an insurrection in your world because they weren't planning on using guns. They just brought them for self-defense.
No. I think that there are thresholds to this, and I think if they're legitimately saying that their attempt is to overthrow the government and they are bringing firearms in that example, I would say that would probably meet the threshold for insurrection.
hold on. I'm going to write this down and tell me you're good. So you're saying if they were planning on overthrowing the government and they brought firearms with them, then that would exceed my threshold for using violence to commit an insurrection?
Yeah, I think that if they said, okay, boys, we're going to overthrow the government, bring your weapons, I think that that would be, like, I guess it would determine what they mean by overthrow the government. But to me, to say it like that, first off, to go more to your example, I don't think anyone would talk like that. That would seem to be a really dumb thing to say. But at that point, when they're saying that, I think that entails, the act of overthrowing the government entails sort of violence being necessary anyway. So the weapons there would be further example of that, even if they never said, we intend specifically to use violence. That would be different.
Okay,
than
but then, sure, the only reason I'm asking is because you had, so right now we're looking at the word planning as part of your definition. Yes. And you said planning violence, but then a counterexample you gave earlier is, well, you can open carry at a protest. That's totally fine. Yep. So what if they just said, we're going to go to try to like overthrow the government, but we're going to open carry on the way there? You're saying that would exceed your threshold for planning violence?
Well, to admit the overthrow of a government, I think, entails some sort of willingness to commit violence as part of the plan in the first place.
Why? You can have a bloodless coup or a bloodless insurrection, theoretically, right? Like, let's say you show up and everybody just, like, runs away, right? I mean, that might be, like, an atypical example, but...
Yeah, no, I don't think that's what people are meaning when they refer to the term insurrection. I think that they think that there has to be some sort of overthrow of the government and that violence has to be part of the planning of that. I think that's different than someone saying, and again, I know you don't want to hear this argument. I'm trying my best to engage in the analogy that I just think from the outset is not germane to what we're talking about, because that's different than saying we don't like something that happened. We don't like an election, and we're going to protest that. And guys, we think Antifa is going to show up, or we think that sort of that security is going to come fuck with us. So you have the right to defend yourself, et cetera, et cetera. We have to be ready that they could try to come after us. That's different than saying we're going to use violence to overthrow the government. We're going to use violence to get the political outcome that we want.
Okay, all right. I'll have these bolded and quoted points here. Maybe we'll come back to something. Okay. The next part of your definition was, so you said a group of people planning a serious attempt to overthrow the government using violence. Okay, you have serious attempt. What qualifies in your mind as a serious attempt?
Okay, that's going to be the hardest part, because I think that this basically comes down to a threshold argument. So, for example, if 3 15-year-old graffiti people say, down with the system, fuck the man, let's put our black belt gear on, and we're going to go, like, kick some police cars because we want to bring down the man, I don't think that that qualifies to the threshold of what we would consider colloquially to be an insurrection, even though it could be people that legitimately want the government to be taken down, because I don't think that it rises to the level that it would be serious enough to say that there was any serious threat that would have any attempt at remote success in doing it. Now, if those same kids then have...
This is a real quick question. Is there a difference in your mind between an insurrection and attempted insurrection? Or like rebellion and attempted rebellion?
Yeah, I would say.
So is an insurrection only an insurrection?
Of course there's a difference. Is there a difference legally? Is that your question?
Well, hold on. You say, of course there's a difference, but like, so just, we won't go to my definition. Yeah, but in my understanding, historically, there is no difference between, you would never say there's like an attempted insurrection or an attempted rebellion. People either rebel or they don't. If you attempt to rebel, you're rebelling. If you attempt to insurrect, you're insurrecting. So I'm just asking, in your mind, is there a difference between like an attempted insurrection versus an insurrection? And is the only difference between the two that an insurrection is successful, or that the attempted insurrection... Yeah, what's the difference, I guess, in your mind?
It's a difficult question. I guess I haven't thought about it, right? So, like, let's just stick to the term insurrection. So, just thinking through this, so, like, maybe it would be an attempted insurrection if a bunch of people said, we want to take down the government, but they're literally so incapable, like, it's just a bunch of teenagers that there's no ability to do anything about it. Maybe that would be considered an attempted insurrection. But, like, if the planning phase of the insurrection reaches to the point where it would cross these threshold issues, then I think at that point there wouldn't really be a difference between an attempted insurrection versus insurrection, at least how we apply it legally. So, for example, a failed insurrection is still an insurrection for all legal intents and purposes and sort of what we would consider colloquially.
Okay, what is... So here's one question, and you can answer this either way, and maybe it doesn't influence anything else, so it's not like a kill shot or anything, okay?
Yeah.
But like, is there any other crime ever where you would make the same consideration? Where, like, let's say somebody was to attempt a crime, but the crime was so unlikely to work that we wouldn't even bother viewing it as a crime or charging them of the crime or even morally thinking they're culpable of committing the crime.
Yeah, there's probably, like, I mean, I don't know. It has to do with sort of the idea of the planning phase of it and what we would mean. So, for example, if a bunch of kids say, let's steal from our teacher's, mailbox or some shit because we don't like them and then they never get around to it, we probably wouldn't charge them with that theft. Right? I don't know.
Because I haven't even done the thing. But let's say for instance, okay, I'm going to use a crazy example. Okay, it was a crazy one. Okay, I might even lose you on this. Okay, but I would feel strong about this. I'm curious how a court would deal with this. Let's say that a couple of 18-year-olds are talking, and one guy, okay, they tell him, listen, all right, we've got this college professor, freshman, huge fucking dick. Okay, classes are way too hard. We actually found out that this guy has a severe allergy to Nerf darts. Okay, that if you were to shoot like 3 Nerf dart things at this guy's face, you would actually kill this dude. 100% he would die. If a guy heard that and he went through a whole plan to buy a Nerf gun, get the Nerf darts, and then he were to show up in class and shoot him like 15 times with those Nerf darts, I would say that that's attempted murder.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Even though he had no chance of succeeding because you're never killing somebody with Nerf darts.
Well, does this guy have a legitimate allergy to Nerf darts?
Well, no, I'm so sorry. No, that's part of the thing. I'm not aware of an analogy to Nerf darts.
I don't know then. I don't know if that's attempted murder. Like, it's clear in the colloquial sense that guy is attempting to murder. Like, if he's in good faith believes this story and attempts to do that to kill him, yeah, I would say that that's clear. But would it rise to the legal definition? I'm not sure.
Well, hold on, no, wait. I'm just sticking with your kind of like moral, personal.
Yeah, I think personally, I would consider that was an attempt to kill that person. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
but
what I would say.
But then, sure. So then I'm trying to square this away with when you're saying that if too few people were to show up for something to rise to the level of a serious insurrection, like why would that matter? If the people themselves think they can do it, why would it matter if it was possible or not?
Because it has to reach a certain threshold before we would consider it an insurrection. Like, so when we get to your definition and the people that created your definition, it's going to be so overly broad that it's going to include thousands of things that no one would consider using common vernacular to be insurrections. And so when we use
wait, hold on, wait, we're running ahead too fast.
I understand that. But that's what I'm saying.
I'm not even talking about my definition. I'm only on yours. You said a group of people planning a serious attempt. And it sounds like you're trying to define serious attempt as though it has to basically like succeed. Otherwise, you wouldn't consider it an insurrection. Or people that are just very misinformed or are bringing way too few people, you wouldn't consider it an insurrection. I'm just curious, like, what the line separating the two is.
Well, it's difficult, right? The serious attempt, it could be both in the level of violence that they are willing, so it has to be a serious level of violence. For example, 3 people using AR-15s aren't going to overthrow the government, but it could still be considered an insurrection if they decide to unload those firearms on members of Congress, because the serious level of the violence would rise to that level. Even though both me and you could probably agree, the chance of that actually overthrowing the government are slim to none. Or...
So you wouldn't consider that, so even if they drew up huge plans and everything, you wouldn't consider that, and like say that was their plan, you would say, well, that's not an insurrection because the chances of them succeeding are very low?
No, I'm saying the opposite. Because of the serious level of violence carried out in doing that, I would probably consider that an insurrection.
Okay, 3 people with AR-15s would be, but 100,000 protesters or whatever wouldn't be.
Correct, because they're not pre-planning to use the violence to overthrow the government.
Well, no, I'm not on the pre-planning part. I'm just on the serious attempt part.
No, I don't think that protest is a serious attempt to overthrow.
But, okay.
Like, do you think,
when you say serious attempt, I'm trying to figure out, like, because it seems like you're evaluating the attempt as the, it's, okay. When we're trying to define what we think is a crime, I'm pretty sure, generally, when we're looking at our definitions here, all of this is being viewed prospectively, I think, not retrospectively. But it sounds like your serious attempt is only a retrospective analysis on how likely was it for this particular thing to have worked based on if it worked or not.
Well, no, like, again, I think there's 2 levels of it. There's how likely would it have been to actually succeed in its effort to overthrow the government, but the serious also applies to the violence. And I think that matching either of those would be sufficient to call it an insurrection. So
so then let's say theoretically one guy walked in with wooden nunchucks, and he got through the security and everything. And he had one friend also who had wooden ninja stars. And let's say that these two guys captured Mike Pence, and they convinced Mike Pence to give the election to Donald Trump. Would you say that even though that was a successful insurrection, you wouldn't consider it an insurrection because it doesn't count as a serious attempt, because the chances of that succeeding are so unlikely? The violent means they brought wasn't even that much. They didn't bring enough people. So it was a successful insurrection that would have failed your definition of insurrection on the outset, or?
I guess at that point there's questions as to whether or not them convincing Mike Pence to change his mind would have worked, because presumably it's
No, I'm sorry. Let's assume that they changed his mind to like literally delete like paper shred, something that would be clearly illegal. We don't have to fight over the electricity yet. But let's say like we're going to tell Mike Pence to we brought black Crayola crayons, and he's going to rewrite all the electoral votes to convince everybody that it was fake. Something clearly illegal, right?
Okay, but in this analogy, we also have to assume then that Mike Pence never tells anyone that he was forced to do this. That's necessary for the analogy.
I'm just saying that like if there's an unlikely to succeed insurrection and it does succeed, then it feels like you would say that, well, that was an insurrection, but only because it worked. But if they would have gotten caught, we wouldn't consider it an attempted insurrection.
That is true. I think there are many, many problems with this analogy. But yes, is there a chance that there could be something that we would all look at and be like, that's a joke, it had no chance to succeed, but then hypothetically in some crazy fucking world, it ends up succeeding when we say, oh, I was wrong. I didn't think based on the planning aspect of that. If you told me that two people with nunchucks were able to overthrow the government, I would say that's a fucking joke. Clearly, that's not an insurrection. But it worked. So yeah, I guess it was an insurrection then.